the official podcast of the Chillicothe Paints. This is Horsin Around. The latest inside information from the Paints and the Prospect League. Now, here's the voice of Paints baseball, Jacob Wise.
Welcome into another edition of Horsin Around, a Chillicothe Paints baseball podcast. I'm Jacob Wise, and it is finally baseball season. A long off season, obviously, a layoff of basically 2 years, and the Paints finally are back in action. The Prospect League is finally back in action, and we are 4 days in, depending on when you listen to this, doing this Sunday night after the Paints' first win of the season, 3-0 over the Johnstown Mill Rats, and it's nice to be in the win column. Big crowd on Thursday night for the season opener as the Paints were back home for the first time since winning the 2019 Prospect League Championship. More than 3,800 fans packed in there, but unfortunately by the time most of them had found their seats and gotten their food, the Paints were down 7-0, a 7-spot given up in the top half of that first inning. Had a chance to get out of it with a double play. Couldn't quite get the 2. They were able to get the out at first base, but the inning continued, and a couple batters later ended up a 3-run home run for Lafayette to make it 7-0. Then the Paints have a big hill to climb, and they certainly tried to get back into that game. Were able to get a couple of runs. Actually outplayed Lafayette the rest of the night, but 7-0 was just too big of a hill to climb, and the Paints lost on opening night 10-4. Got a little bit better on the second night of the season on Friday, but it was nasty weather Friday and Saturday. Wind chill in the 40s both days, and the crowds, can't blame them, not really very big at VA Memorial Stadium there on Friday and Saturday. A 6-4 loss to Champion City, a couple costly errors in that one. And then on Saturday, a 3-2 loss to Johnstown in the two-game series opener there to wrap up the homestand. Cold bats in that one, really just couldn't get anything going offensively. Had a couple of runners on to lead off the 7th and the 8th innings, immediately hit into a double play, and that really just took the wind out of the sails for the Paints in that game on Saturday. A couple costly errors. 2 of those 3 runs for Johnstown were unearned in that game, so the Paints were able to put that behind them, though, and come back on Sunday and pick up a 3-0 win over Johnstown. Got a fantastic pitching performance from a trio of pitchers, actually, as Tanner Cunningham was able to get the start. He was strong through 4 1/3. Was not supposed to pitch that deep into the game, but he was doing well and was feeling good. And Coach asked him if he was able to go a couple more outs, and he said sure thing. And John Penn was very happy after the game. The Paints manager just talking about on the postgame show for radio about how he was nice to have a guy on the mound that was throwing strikes quickly, much like what Drew Wilson did the night before, but weren't able to get the win. The Paints are able to play some good defense behind, have their first errorless game of the season. A nice way to get the win to wrap up the homestand going into the off day here on Monday before a full slate of 6 days in a row before the next off day. Also want to mention Drew Wilson from that game on Sunday. He was the DH on the 3-0 win. He drove in all 3 runs. Ground out in the first inning, brought home a run, and then he had a 2-out, 2-run single later in the game to get the final 2 runs of the game. So Drew Wilson had a fantastic night at the plate as well for the Paints. So into the first off day of the season with a 1-3 record. Not the end of the world. Again, the 2019 team was 2-7 to start, and then they won 10 in a row, and the rest was history. And talking to the players, too, they still feel good. They feel like the team is going to continue to get better. Some permanent players should start rolling in this week as their seasons in college begin to come to an end, and the roster will continue to get stronger and stronger. Also not the end of the world, because in the Ohio River Valley division of the East Conference, the wins were hard to come by for most of the teams early on. And so now looking at the standings at the first off day, although Burlington and Clinton are going to play on Memorial Day, I think they planned to do that from the beginning. They moved an off day from Monday to another day in the week so that they could have that day on the holiday where they had a game. Monday's typically off days in the Prospect League. The Ohio River Valley Division, Champion City, 3-1 to start the year. So a solid start to things for them. Maybe one of their best starts in franchise history. Johnstown started 2-0 in their inaugural season. They end up 2-1 after the Paints get them 3-0 on Sunday. Chillicothe now 1-3, and West Virginia is, I believe, the only team in the Prospect League now that is winless. They had a late lead on Champion City, but the Kings were able to come back and get them on Sunday. So West Virginia off to an 0-3 start. In the Wabash River Division in the East Conference, Danville is 3-0, Lafayette is 3-1, Illinois Valley is 1-3, and the Rex, after putting up 17 runs on Sunday, they beat Illinois Valley, so they get their first win of the season, and the Terre Haute Rex now 1-3, the same as the Paints. In the West Conference, the Great River Division, the Clinton Lumber Kings are off to a 3-0 start, the Normal Corn Belters 2-2, the Burlington Bees 1-2, and the Quincy Gems 1-3. And in the Prairieland Division in the West, the O'Fallon Hoots lead it at 3-1. Alton, the River Dragons, are 2-1. Springfield 1-2, and the Cape Catfish 1-2. Speaking of the Rex scoring 17 runs on Sunday, we had our first run rules ever since the run rule was implemented in the Prospect League. The Rex run ruled Illinois Valley 17-1, so that game was stopped after 7 innings. Also, O'Fallon run-ruled Cape 11-1 on Sunday. That game was stopped after 7. And I think that was it. It was a 15-5 win for Quincy, but I think that a lot of those runs came later in the game. And yeah, they scored 5 runs in the 9th inning. So no run rule there. They had to play the whole thing. But on paper, it was still a blowout for the Normal Corn Belters in that one as they won 15-5 over Quincy. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the D1 baseball season's coming to a close, so unless the team has made a regional or is playing in a conference tournament, which a lot of conferences aren't doing this year, some new players should be coming into the Prospect League, including for the Paints here over the next week. Stats after 1 week, I suppose, not really a full week, but 4 games going into the off day. Drew Wilson has been fantastic at the plate, 5 of 14 at the plate with 2 runs scored, 4 RBIs. He had all 3 of them on Sunday, also a couple of walks and has been hit by a pitch. He's been on base a ton. Alex Ludwig has also been very good. He was the leadoff man in the order the first 3 nights. He dropped down to the 2 spot as manager John Penn just tried to switch things up, but he finishes into the first off day with a .316 batting average, 6 hits on 19 trips, 1 home run, 2 RBIs. And he has been very, very good for the Paints, an offense that is only hitting .206 through the first 4 games, but he's certainly been a bright spot as well. Trey Smith hitting .308, 4 for 13 at the plate. He scored a couple of runs as well. He has a double and a couple of RBIs. He's also walked 3 times and got hit by a pitch late in that game on Sunday, and that was very important because he ended up coming up and scoring to give the Paints a little bit of a cushion going into the 9th inning. And DJ Neff has played pretty well, also a .273 average, 3 for 11 at the plate, and he's made some nice plays out there at second base as well. Pitching-wise for the Paints so far, the team ERA dropped from 5-something to 3.75 after the win on Sunday. Of course, they gave up several runs, 10 runs on opening night, and then 6 runs the next night. Not all of those earned, but still with not a ton of innings being thrown, that still inflated that ERA to start the season, and after giving up just 3 runs and then no runs on Saturday and Sunday, they've dropped that back down to a nice, respectable 3.75. Victor Tayo, really good in 2 appearances out of the bullpen, 4 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, hasn't given up any runs earned or otherwise. Tyler Cunningham now in 2 appearances, including a start, 6 1/3 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Drew Wilson had a start, went 5 innings, allowed 2 unearned runs, no earned runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Want to also mention Jake Norris with 5 strikeouts in relief on Thursday. So the Paints pitching staff has gotten it figured out. Hopefully that'll continue on. Ruben Ramirez has worked a couple of scoreless innings, throwing really hard. 3 strikeouts for him through 2 innings. Justin Diefenbach was pretty good in his start. He went 7 innings, gave up 4 runs, but all 4 runs were late. He was in the last 2 innings that he pitched. He was scoreless up until that point and had done a really good job working through the lineup in his start. So excited to see him pitch again in this upcoming week. Ronovich had a rough outing, just 1 inning, just trying to get settled on Saturday, but they brought him back on Sunday. He was able to pick up the save in a scoreless inning. He struck out the first 2 batters in the 9th. He walked 2 guys, had them both down to a 2-strike count, but just couldn't seal the deal. Walked him, but ended up getting the final out to pick up his first save of the year. So excited to see how the pitching staff kind of shakes out, and they look pretty good throughout the last few games of that first week. So you take that first one out, and looks like right now, through the first 4 days, that first game was a little bit of an anomaly. So coming up this week, the Paints getting set for their first road game of the season, a 6:35 start down in Beckley, West Virginia, and then back home on Wednesday and Thursday against West Virginia and Champion City, 7:05 Wednesday and Thursday at VA Memorial Stadium. Wednesday is our Ross County Sheriff's Dare Night and Summer Fun Party. Is a lot of kids will get into the ballpark for free that night. And it's also our Winning Wednesday gas giveaway, sponsored by Valero. We will give away plenty of free gas cards at the game that night. And then Thursday is another Thirsty Thursday $1 draft beer, and we'll welcome our friends from Rathcamp Financial as they have a big group out at the stadium on Thursday. Friday, the Paints head to Champion City for a 6:35 start, and then Saturday it's a 7 o'clock start as the Paints play their first game in Johnstown against the Mill Rats. They'll stay there for a 2-game series and wrap up the week on Sunday with an afternoon game at 3 o'clock in Johnstown before the off day on Monday the 7th. Just 2 home games this upcoming week. The Paints will play 4 road games. Hopefully after that week, they'll be a little bit closer to 500 or maybe a little bit over it and have things rolling as players continue to roll in. The team continues to gel, and hopefully things continue to get better each and every night like they have over the first 4 games. All right, that takes us to our player interview this episode of Horsin Around here at Chillicothe Paints Baseball Podcast. Got a chance to chat with Trey Smith before the game on Sunday up in the press box. Talked about his time at University of Indianapolis, his time here in Chillicothe in 2019, why he's back here in 2021, and just about him playing baseball and a little bit about life. And I think you'll enjoy the chat that I had with Trey on Sunday. Trey, first of all, welcome back to Chillicothe. Glad to be here?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Had a blast so far since I've been here. Opening night was a lot of fun. Got to see a lot of familiar faces, and just been hanging around here since then. Got to see Bob again. Got to see Zach Kendall again. Good to see you again. It's a fun time.
You mentioned opening night, like 3,800 people here. It felt like a regular Paints game, but the last 2 nights, we're recording this here on Sunday, it's been cold, and so the crowds have been maybe the smallest I've ever seen for a Paints game. Is it awkward going out to the field when it's so quiet out?
It actually is. It feels like a home game at an Indianapolis game. We haven't had the crowd like we've had, but I keep telling these guys, like, just wait. Once it warms up, we're gonna have, like, we averaged what do we average?
Like 2019,
2019. So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a lot of fans. It's just we got to get it to warm up a little bit.
You mentioned Bob, your host dad, Bob Imboden, who is a little bit of a legend around here. How much fun is it to hang out with that guy? I think you guys went to eat before you got out here today?
Yeah, we did. We went to the Freddy's place, or it's the burger place. Can't think of the name of the place, but we just went there. I had breakfast, and Bob took us out to eat. Me and my roommate, who also went to Indy with me, Isaac Bear.
Who you call Ted.
Call him Ted. That's his nickname, Teddy.
Teddy Bear. Now, going to Indy, how did you end up going to the University of Indianapolis? Were you recruited there? Was it a place you wanted to go? And how do you like going to school there and playing baseball there?
So I actually went to JUCO for a semester, and then we went to go play Indy at University of Indianapolis for a game, and we did a doubleheader. I played pretty well. At the end of the year, at the end of the first semester, they contacted me and ended up going on a visit. Loved it there, and just went there at semester and played my freshman year at UND.
Done pretty well there too the last couple of years. Obviously, no 2020 season, but
yeah,
pretty successful college career so far. Would you say?
I had my sophomore year was a down year for me, I would say, but my freshman year I did pretty decent, and then obviously 2020 year I had a great start of the 2020 year, and then now 2021 year I had slashed pretty well. So yeah, I've very much so enjoyed being at Indy, and the academics there is great. The ability of development there is great. So,
Are you still a biology major?
human biology.
Human biology. Okay.
Yes.
What all does that entail?
Anatomy, a lot of biology, obviously, chemistry, different types of math. Organic chemistry, you got to do. That's not very fun.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I actually took human biology, so you didn't have to take organic chemistry. But
They threw it in anyway.
Yeah.
Now, what do you want to do when you're done playing baseball? Obviously, you want to play baseball as long as you can, but what's the plan for afterward?
Well, right now I don't really know exactly.
That's okay.
Trying to figure it out at the moment. Obviously, playing here, this is what helps being here. You know, we get, like we said, all these fans. Well, on top of that, they know that we have so much talent here, and till scouts will come and watch, and that obviously helps because those are professional scouts, you know,
Yeah.
or independent scouts that come here and watch. And so it's another thing is just playing here, and that helps.
Are you open to going the indie ball route if
Yeah.
someone doesn't pick you up right away?
Oh yeah, that would be great. That would be awesome.
Speaking of somebody who got picked up, not drafted, Cody Orr, who you played with in
Cody
19.
Orr, yeah.
Pretty good player, right?
Awesome player. Yeah, I actually not that long ago he posted on his Instagram story. I got to talk to him for a little bit. He posted a story in, I think down in Florida, but he showed a like the back part of the walk. It looked exactly like ours, pretty much.
Oh,
like
yeah?
minor league field to the tee. And I just asked, like, 'cause it was where he hit his first professional home
Yeah,
run.
I saw the
Yeah.
video of that, a week ago or so.
Yeah, I asked where he hit it at. He hit it actually dead center over the 405 mark.
Wow. Obviously a good athlete. I know the Astros and a lot of minor league people who follow that stuff are very high on him. It's cool to see people moving on, and hopefully that's in your future as well. And a big part of what you've been able to do so far is the support that you get from your parents. I know they brought their RV down and they're camping nearby to be here at the first 4 home games of the year. And I know based on 2019, we'll see them at a lot of places on the road and a lot of home games throughout the season. It's fun for me as the lone traveling guy from the office to see familiar faces when we're on the road. But I can't imagine what that must be like for you when you're at all these different places, whether it be college or summer ball, and you look up and your parents are there supporting you. How much has that meant to you along the way?
Oh, yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, it's been awesome. They got the RV, obviously, to go camping. They go to the river, and then also part of it for me. And sometimes, like, my brother will get to come, too. He came to one of my games this year at home, and parents brought him up in the RV. It's been awesome. I mean, sometimes when we go to Terre Haute, they usually don't camp there, but they usually drive up because it's not a super far drive, but they'll usually drive up to that one. But coming here, I think they're here. They said they were sitting here for a full 9 days to hang out, and but it's awesome. Like the other day, I didn't bring any long sleeves for being cold. Well, I texted them. They went and got long sleeves for me, brought it to the game. I was like, wow, that was pretty convenient because I probably wouldn't ask Bob, my host, had to go and do that for me,
Although he probably would.
Probably would.
He'd probably come back with like a cart full of, here, I got all the options for you just in case.
It's very true.
Bob's banana pudding, how good is it?
Oh, ridiculous.
Unbelievable, right?
Makes us, so when he makes the big one, he will make me and Teddy, but when Cody played with me, or stayed with me, and Bob, he made us individual, like, salad bowl sides. And, man, that was good.
Yeah, I always enjoy when we have the Booster Club carry-ins after the game for food, and you got to get down there quick or all of the banana pudding is gone. That's why he makes you guys the extra so to make sure you get it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's run it back to 2019. You had never been here before. You show up, a couple days before the season for check-in and get your uniform and everything. What's going through your head at that point?
Well, I just came off a really bad year at UND, and what's going through my head is let's see ball, hit the ball hard, and try to impress these guys. That way I can, fit well with the team and just try to do the best that I can. And coming in, the first night actually I went 0 for 4, and I was like, well, dang it. So I stayed after. Me and Cody actually both went 0 for 4, and we wouldn't hit in the cages for like 3 hours after the game. So we could try to get our minds right, and then start of the year happened.
Was that your first summer ball season?
No. My first summer ball season was when I was going into my freshman year.
Okay. So you kind of had the experience before a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, and then I had knee surgery one summer.
I think the average person doesn't really understand how much of an awkward situation it is. You have 30 guys from all around the country showing up a couple of days before the season starts. You maybe practice one time and say hi to the guy who's going to be playing next to you.
Yeah.
And then you spend 70 days together all the time. You live with somebody that you just met 10 minutes ago for the summer. And then one day everybody just goes home and you maybe never talk to half those guys ever again. It's such a unique situation, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Very unique. Well, the thing is, I know my roommate, but I didn't know Cody.
Right.
But coming into that situation last year and even this year, but man, like all those guys last year, we still talk all the time. I mean, right now, before I got up here, I actually called. Or not called. I was texting a buddy from that old team on our group chat. So,
yeah, I know it seemed like a really, really tight team. It was a fun team to be around for sure, but it didn't start well. A 2-7 start. I think of those 7 losses, 5 of them were by 2 or 1 run, and a frustrating start to the year. But you were one of the people actually saying, I think it was to the Chillicothe Gazette, that I think this is a good team. I think we could win 10 in a row, and we have a chance to win this whole thing. And lo and behold, 2-7, you go on a 10-game win streak, and ended up going 41-14 the rest of the season after the 2-7 start. You ended up winning the championship. What was it about that team early on that just gave you that confidence?
when we would take BP, and it was just like unreal. Like it was just unreal to watch. I've never seen the way that a team hit BP, the way that we hit BP, and the way that we attacked, like fielding ground balls during all of this, like during BP stuff. I don't know, just like we did really good little things. I mean, we had a great coach. We had a great team atmosphere. We bonded well together. Like we hung out all the time. Like we would stay, actually exactly what we're doing right now. Everyone's here early. We're hanging out in the locker room. We just really enjoyed just being around each other.
So you get to the Prospect League Championship Series. It's in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. About 30 minutes from Sikeston, where you're from, right?
Yep.
And I think you had, a couple hundred friends and family there?
No, not that.
It seemed like it there, right?
It seemed like it, yeah. I had quite a few. I had some of my buddies that actually go to the school at SEMO.
At SEMO, yeah.
There. All my friends and family that were in Sikeston at the time were there. So, yeah, I mean, I bet I had 30 there. I
know that your parents got a hold of us before we hit the bus and said, hey, can you throw a bunch of shirts and hats and other paints gear on the bus, and we'll sell it to everybody. I think they sold like $300 worth of paints, shirts, and hats and things. And so when we get to Capitol Hall Field, there's all these people in paints gear, and there are usually a few here and there. Some parents make the trip because you have guys from all over the country, so maybe you're closer to one kid's parents or whatever. But we're all the way out in Missouri, and all of a sudden it was really cool to see that many people in paints gear. And I think you had some family members too that hadn't seen you play in a long time because you're all the way in Indianapolis.
Time, yeah. A lot of family haven't seen me play since I've been there in high school because, I mean, they just couldn't come up to Indy for just a bunch of reasons, work things come up. So never been able to make the drive up, and them being able to see me since they haven't seen me since high school, that was big for them. It was big for me. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Put a little extra pressure on you?
No. No extra pressure. They didn't give me anything. If anything, it made me more amped, more excited, more ready to go.
So you guys get game 1 here at home. Hadn't played Cape all year out of the West, and doesn't go very well. End up losing that game. But I just got the sense after the game that the team was not deterred. No confidence was shaken. It seemed like your guys' attitude was like, well, heck, if we got to drive all the way to Cape Girardeau, we might as well win this daggone thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Actually, what we were saying, what was so frustrating about that game is, man, we had so many hard hit balls right at people. I mean, we were putting on a laser show, and we just couldn't get anything to fall. I remember I had a screamer to center that I didn't miss any of, and just right to him. I remember Colin Shepard actually had that double into the right center gap, and Cole Andrews almost hit one to the left field wall. Guy caught. Man, we were just piecing balls up left and right. We said in the game. We said in the locker room, like, "Hey, we came here. Might as well just win it now." So,
Yeah, it certainly seemed that way.
It.
Then, game 2 in Cape, I think Jack Raines was on the mound to start. He threw a nice game for you guys, and you win it pretty soundly in game 2. So you set up the winner-take-all game in game 3, and Austin Calipetro starting on the mound, who at the end of the season all of a sudden went from being a late-inning guy to being just an unbelievable starter for you guys.
Unreal.
How much confidence do you guys have going into game 3 after getting the win in game 2, and you have Calipetro on the mound?
Not a lot of people know Calipetro, but man, that kid is hilarious. He's a different guy on the mound, and when he got on the mound, you could just tell how he was. I was like, this dude's going 7 innings.
Yeah.
You just could tell.
And he's going to strike out like 12 guys.
Yeah, struck out 12 guys. I don't think he walked anybody either, did he?
Yeah, he was on. The only thing I was worried about was the home plate umpire was kind of messing around with how he was standing on the rubber and trying to.
Yeah, but it's just
But he battled through it. It didn't seem to bother him.
Battled through it, and I knew he didn't bother him at all. He was just like, all right, well, tell me how to stand. Let's go.
And then Chris Eisel hits the home run early in that game to put you guys on the board first.
Left a dent on their new scoreboard.
Yeah, brand new video board out there. Smoked one out there. Puts you guys up 1-0. At that point, do you start to kind of let it creep in that like this might happen? We're in a really good position.
Really, after he hit that, we got all fired up, everything. But Biggs came over there and kind of humbled us, like, hey, early in the game, boys, let's, doesn't matter. Good home run, Chris, but let's go.
Yeah, and then Cape hits a 2-run home run later in the game to take the lead. Yeah. So this takes us to maybe what most Paints fans know you most for. 6th inning, bases loaded, trailing by a run. You've got all your friends and family in town watching the game, and you hit a ball that I didn't think was going to leave the yard. It was the way the outfielder was playing it, it just kept going and going and going, and it just not only did it suck all the air out of the stadium, but if you see some of the videos from people that were at the game, like people were in shock. Like they could not believe what had just happened. How much detail do you remember that grand slam?
So I remember Cole Andrews right before that bat. I was sitting on deck, and I think who was it that came up behind me? I think it was Shep or somebody like that came up by and said, "Hey, it's gonna get on you." So I was like, "All right." And first pitch, I think I fouled off in between my leg, and then I let the slider go on the outside half, and for some reason I was just like, I know this kid's throwing a slider. Threw the slider down and in, and I truly honestly didn't think I got it either. To be honest with you, I ran hard out of the box. I was like, if this is a pop fly, I'm going to see if I can get on 3 before he catches it. And so I was sprinting hard, and I didn't even think Chad knew was out either, first base coach, and he was, go 2-2, get on 2, get on 2. So I look up in the very last second, and I see him hit the wall, and that was crazy. I mean, as soon as that happened, it was very emotional. I'm getting a little emotional right now. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
I know you were rounding third, and all the emotion was pouring out on your way home, and I think your little thing you put on your thumb to hit got launched into the field, and everybody's out to try to dog pile.
And everybody was like, what's going on? I was like, oh, no, I lost my pro hitter. Couldn't find it. It was a lot of fun.
And then you guys go Cal McInich and Nate Hall, who was the closer of the year. So once you hit the home run and everybody looks at the Paints pitching stats from that year, you go up by a couple of runs late. It's pretty tough sledding for the opponents. So once the grand slam, I'm sure Biggie was saying, hey, we still have to finish this game, but you feel pretty good at that point.
Oh, yeah. As soon as, all right, we got Cal on the mound. Cal, I knew he was determined to shut it down. He's been doing it all year, Yeah. But, and then, because we've always, it seemed like during the middle of the year, we had that Cal and Nate combo, and it was just like Cal had that.
If there was a lead in the 7th inning, it was over.
Yeah, it was over. Like, we had to shut down. So, when Nate came in, the right field fans were just giving me crap. I actually knew a couple of them up there. And I said, this is the closer of the year right here. He's getting put in. You guys, 1, 2, 3, you're getting put down. There's no shot. And they were just laughing, like cutting up with me. Still giving me crap. And then after they did it, once they 1, 2, 3, I turned around and waved and ran in.
Yeah, they were a special bunch for sure, and probably the most complete team that I've had the pleasure of watching in 11 years of doing this, pitching, hitting, fielding. I mean, your outfield was so fast that it's similar to this year where, with Ben and left and Kent and center and you and right, there's not going to be very many balls that find gaps out there.
Jesus, no, I don't. When I called Kent off the other day.
You actually crossed him.
I know, crossed him. I said, Kent, why didn't you call that? And he was like, I didn't know how far I was going to go. I was like, dude, just call it when it was, it's right there. You got it all day. Just run over here hard to back you up.
So, the 2019 summer season ends, which then you go basically straight into fall ball. You have a great summer. Are you excited, rearing to go, and then all of a sudden COVID hits and just punches you in the gut, right?
Oh, man, that was, it was probably the hottest I've ever started to a season, even hotter than in the summer. I was so ready to go, and I finally this year, my senior year, I finally broke my 5 home run slump not slump, but you know what I'm saying. I could never break over 5 home runs in the season. I finally hit 6, but I hit 5 in 14 or 15 games. I can't remember how many it was, and it was just like had a really hot start.
Ball just looks like a beach ball coming in every night.
I couldn't believe that we got shut down. It was terrible.
But then you get to get back in 2021, and I think a lot of guys that were wanting to come back in 2020, once that season got canceled, were just kind of like, all right, it's time to move on. What was it about wanting to come back here for that second season?
We wanted to defend it. We wanted to have that, We wanted to see all the host families again, re-experience everything, and I definitely wanted to 100%. I knew from the very beginning after that last year, I was like, I'm going back there. It was so much fun. It's like a pro ball experience,
Yeah.
You play in front of 2,000 fans.
And for a lot of guys, it's more fans than they play in front of during school ball season, for sure.
It's very true.
Slow start to this.
More than I play in front of.
Yeah. Slow start to this season so far. Not unlike the slow start to the season in 2019. As we're sitting here on Sunday before the game last night, it's a 3-2 loss. And another one-run loss, just like in 2019, where they were a lot of close games. Do you feel like it's up to a guy like you who was here in 2019, who kind of went through that, to say, let's just stick with it, keep doing what we're supposed to do, and the results will come?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, we have a lot of leaders on this team. I mean, including our coach, Coach Penn. I mean, he's a great coach. We have a lot of leaders on the team. It's not. I don't necessarily think it's saying up to me, because all of these guys that are here, they're all the top dogs on their team too.
Yeah.
So they're leaders on their team. So it's just really just letting everybody really get to know each other. I think that's the main thing, just the chemistry, hanging out. And once we get to know each other, I feel like it's more, let me play for you, instead of just try to get to know you, let me play for you. And it's just it's the chemistry aspect, in my opinion.
I can't let you get out of here without asking your thoughts on the bunt.
The bunt.
Are you a bunt guy or a don't ever bunt guy?
Don't ever bunt guy.
That's what I figured.
I swing away.
You were joking earlier about how Indy led the nation, or you led your conference in sacrifice bunts, and I think your parents were telling me that you're like, don't ever give me the bunt sign.
Don't do it. Just let me swing. I just don't enjoy it.
A guy that swings as hard as you never get cheated on his swing. Is that just the swing hard in case you hit it mentality?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what we'll say. Well, we do have the time and place to choke up, but yeah, swing hard in case you hiss it.
Alrighty, Trey. I appreciate you taking the time. I know I got to let you go for BP. They're getting ready to do that. Good luck tonight. Good luck this season, and hopefully we'll have plenty of fun stuff to chat about by the time we're done.
Yep, that was fun. Thank you.
Obviously, Trey really excited to get into Chillicothe this year and get things into full swing with the paints, and we can't wait to see what he and his teammates have in store for us over the next 54 and hopefully more games here in 2021. That'll do it for this edition of Horsin Around. We ask you to go check us out on whatever podcast platform you use. Subscribe to us, leave us a review, whatever comment mechanism your podcast platform has, and we would really appreciate that. That'll help us out in the search settings as well. Until next week, I'm Jacob Wise. Thanks for listening to Horsin Around. Roll Paints.